Hi, this is probably for everyone watching the replay. Don't get many viewers live yet. So we have Kounthea,
Kounthea.
Kounthea, sorry,
Kounthea, yes. It's okay.
Kounthea here today with us. So we're going to jump right in. I like keeping these videos fairly short. So please introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do and how you got to doing what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Kounthea Richards, and I help women, moms actually, recover from autoimmunity and just kind of help them thrive again after diagnosis. And my journey into this role started from my own personal health journey. Back in 2013, I was diagnosed with lupus, and it's an autoimmune condition. In my case, it was really debilitating, where it attacked almost every organ in my body, from my brain, my heart, my kidneys, my skin, my blood, like anything you can imagine, it pretty much attacked it. So I was really in a bad place. I was really sick. I was in extreme chronic pain. And I guess the interesting part is I was also pregnant. I was diagnosed during my second trimester. So it was a lot going on, emotionally. I was up and down, and then you add on, the symptoms that I was experiencing as well. So it was a lot to handle. So that was back in 2013 when I got the diagnosis and started experiencing chronic pain and was extremely sick. And it took me about at least until 2016 to finally realize that this is not the life I want to live, because during 2013 all the way up to 2016, I was constantly in a flare-up. I was constantly going to the ER, and the doctors were giving me high dose of steroids. And I'm sure people who have had any autoimmune condition can agree with me in the sense where steroids, prednisone, it's the name of it, it's really bad for you, just mentally and physically. It takes a toll on your body. So I was on a very high dose. I was very irritable, very not a great person. And coupled with being a new mom, it's really hard, it's really hard. So into 2013, 14, 15, 16, I was constantly in and out of the hospital. I didn't really have time to experience a mommy and daughter bonding moment. So the first 2 years of her life, she was actually with my in-laws, and my husband pretty much took care of her. I was there, but I wasn't really there because I was sick, So it was really hard on me. And then something happened. And even at that time, I was also still working. So, me being the type of person that I am, I said, let's just go back to work anyway. So I was dealing with the work from stress, dealing from the disease itself, and then in motherhood. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So things took a big toll on me that in 2016, I hit rock bottom. I was done. I couldn't work. I had to make a decision, either get my stuff together or this is the life I'm going to live. So I took the time off in 2016. And 17, I really, really worked on myself. I realized that while this is a physical condition in a sense where I'm experiencing so much chronic pain, from hip pain to joint pain. I mean, at one point I couldn't even grip, So when you think about it, I couldn't even brush my teeth. It was so bad. It was like I was really in a bad place. So that really took me down this road of, is this really the life I want to live? Do I really want to be this new mom and be sick and give her this kind of memory? I didn't want her to say, oh, mommy was always sick. I didn't have any great memory with her. So that was a wake-up call for me to realize that, you know what? I got to do something with myself. Either I start changing how I look at this condition, or I'm going to be subjected to what everyone else is telling me, that you're going to be sick. Doctors were telling me left and right, honey, this is how your life is going to be. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be in chronic pain. And at one point, Emily, I took on that narrative. I kind of gave up. I say, you know what? Let me just deal with it. At least I'm still functional, right? It's not a quality of life, but I was still kind of getting by. And then, everything was just so bad that even my marriage was not great either. So that really told me a lot. Like, I really have to take this seriously. So I started changing my diet, started working out, just doing things for myself. And I didn't want to hear what other people wanted me to do. I just started to block everything out, and I started focusing on me, and I started changing my diet, and then I started working on myself. While autoimmunity is a chronic condition, I realized that there's more to it being just physical. There's that mental, emotional aspect to it. So I started this journey of going inward, and I discovered that while there's a physical component to this, if you don't work on yourself, and if you don't work on parts of you that may be neglected because of things that have happened, but you didn't process those experiences, it's going to have an effect on you. And that pretty much got me down this road of, you know what, let's do this for me even more. Not even about me. Do this for my daughter, because I want to be better. I want to get better for her. I want to play with her. I want to have the energy. So I went down this road, started doing better. I started doing so much research, dive in this science of healing, and start compiling so many data. And I started applying all that information and started realizing that my recovering from lupus, was really not just, changing my diet or exercising, right? I can drink all the green smoothie, eat all the kale, right? There's still that emotional component that wasn't right. It didn't sit right on me. So I started doing the work, and I discovered that, I sort of went back to my younger childhood days and started realizing and journaling that there were a lot of stuff, a lot of experiences that were not great experiences for me, that perhaps have traumatized me, right? And when most people think about the word traumatized, they think of something epic, like maybe like going to war and getting, blown by something, or something big catastrophe happening. But I think traumatized, in the word itself, is more about your ability to handle a particular situation, right? Your nervous system, right? When you're overwhelmed, everything that you're perceiving is stressful. And that's traumatizing in itself. And I didn't realize that there were a series of events that I have gone through from childhood all the way to adulthood, until up to the diagnosis that I was experiencing. And all of those things have unconsciously triggered that emotional breakdown, like that it was the last straw to the diagnosis. So that for me was the missing link, like to recover fully from lupus, was going beneath all the root causes, looking beyond the physical aspect of what the doctors were telling me, was a journey within myself. So once I recovered, I made a promise to myself. I say, you know what? There are many millions of people out there who are suffering and probably giving up, just like what I did when I just fell into the narrative of this is going to be my life. I wanted to give back. I wanted to show people that there is another way, right? Another way to get better. But you just have to be open and be receptive to other people's healing journey. And that's sort of that should be like your ticket to say, you know what? I think it's possible. I mean, while it may be hard, and it's hard to see it because you're in your symptoms, right? That you don't see that it's possible. It is possible, because I'm where you are, right? I was in that state of mind, depressed, suicidal, chronic pain, didn't think I was going to get better, but I managed to get through it because I had something bigger to live for, which was my daughter. And I think that's how it got me down this journey of helping other women recover from their diagnosis, and help them not just recover, but thrive, give them the tools to help them get in a better state of being, whether it's calming their nervous system, it could be like doing breath works, journaling. These things are free in a sense, right? This is something you can do on your own without having to go out there and spend lots of money on. So the work that I do with my clients, I pretty much, if they haven't been there yet, I'll tell them, listen, if you haven't changed your diet and figure out what's going on that's causing the inflammation, let's start there first. Because just by changing your diet alone, you can experience up to 50% increase in symptom relief, because that's what it did for me. So I just start them down that road first. And then we work on the mindset. The mindset is always something that I work with them, because at the end of the day, you know, when you simplify everything, your mind controls everything you do. It controls your behavior, your thoughts, your emotions. So when you know how to, in a sense, not outsmart it, but be more aware of what you're thinking that's contributing to the stressors in your life, you start to realize, wow, I do have the power. So I work with them in determining what are their daily habits, you know, what are you doing day to day, you know, how do you wake up, how do you feel, what's triggering those stressful thoughts. So it's more of a self-awareness, self-discovery process that I work with them. And I tell them, like, I'm not your doctor, you know, you still work with your doctor. I'm not a healer or a therapist, or if any sense, I'm just a person a mom who recover from lupus in the most authentic way. And when I say that, it means that I took it upon myself to become an advocate for my own healing. And I want to share this with people and say, listen, once you understand that there's more than just the physical level to this chronic condition, you realize that a lot of it has to do with your thinking. You know, maybe there's something that's traumatizing that happened. Maybe you have to go back to that point in life and process the experience and acknowledge that this is how you're feeling and learn to release it. And releasing it, there are numbers of ways to do it. You know, you can write it, journal it. You know, what I do is I write whatever that's bothering me, and I just rip it out, or some people burn it. So there are many ways to do it. And these are the tools that I give to them to show that you have the power. You know, you really do. You know, it's not really, this is my life sentence. And I don't want that. That's the conversation I want to change. I want to let them know that your condition is not a life sentence. Start following people who are getting better. Get a sense of what they're doing and follow their lead, you know, because success leaves clues, right? So that's what I try to tell them. And I'm just really happy that I'm doing this.
Amazing, 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 amazing.
Thank you.
I don't even know where to begin. There's so much in what you said that I want to address and just kind of empower even more, like emphasize even more. Like I think one thing that I do want to say, I watched the documentary on Netflix called Heal.
Yes.
And that really kind of got me more aware about this this concept that we can heal ourselves. And I started buying into it, because before I didn't. I was like, yeah, okay. And very much trusting blindly the doctors and Western medicine. And I have very, quite quickly, actually, I think in the last like year or two, I've just done a 180, and I don't trust doctors that much and Western medicine that much. Like, obviously I go and I hear what they have to say, but I've got my naturopath and I do my own research and I check studies, and I get judged for it all the time. Oh yes, you don't know better than the doctor. Okay, right. But I'm responsible for my life. I'm responsible for my body. I want to do the research. Like it is. But what I found is that also with mental health, diet is huge. The 95% of our serotonin is produced in the gut. And there's so many different aspects of how food can affect our mood and just our psychology and our everything. But you were saying as well that it's when you're diagnosed with autoimmune disease, or I actually think many other diseases, I think most other diseases, I've seen that a very common denominator, like a factor, is stress. I think stress is a huge factor that contributes to disease and to illness. And I think that the more and more I look into it and I research this, the more I see the mind-body connection. I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome more than a decade ago. And it was really freaky at the time. Like, I had no idea so much about the mind-body connection, but I struggled for 10 months with horrible digestion, like
Mm.
very, very, like cramps, daily cramps. Like I couldn't walk. I was like
Yeah.
on the floor. I couldn't work. I couldn't go to school. I was doing my degree. I was like bedridden half the time because I couldn't get over these stomach cramps. And I googled it. They say it's like contractions. And when I gave birth, I was like, yes, this is the pain that I had with
Mm-hmm.
my IBS. It was literally like labor.
Yeah, yeah.
Intense pain. And I had it for 10 months. And then when I called off my wedding, I was
Oh,
engaged at 21. When I
yeah.
called off the wedding and left, I ended that relationship, it disappeared. Like it disappeared. And I was just like, hold on, what happened?
Yeah.
10 months in doctors' offices, in alternative doctors' offices with like spoons up my spine. You do not understand what I did to try and figure this out. I didn't. I took out fried foods. I took out,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
anything and everything. And it was a mental thing. It was totally psychological. It was my body. Like I was,
Mhm.
I guess, in denial, and I wasn't listening to myself, my intuition saying something's not right,
Right, right.
in your life, like this relationship wasn't right, and I was
Yeah.
about to get married. um, and my body was screaming at me.
Reacting,
Like,
yeah, yeah. It's like it's speaking to you. It's trying to speak to you in this manifestation, in a sense, of this symptoms that you're experiencing.
and
I
IBS is a tiny, tiny, tiny example of a physical manifestation, but I really do believe that if we don't process our emotions, if we don't
Mhm,
listen to our emotions, if we don't regulate our emotions, emotions
mhm.
are energy, right?
Yeah,
And
yes.
energy and motion, emotion, right?
Right,
And it gets trapped in your body, and then it has to be processed in some way. It has to come out in some way. It's energy. We're energetic
right,
beings. All we are
right.
little cells made of energy, right? And
Yes,
if we
yes,
have this trapped energy, then it manifests in
yes,
the body physically.
right.
And then I really believe, I'm a huge believer now, that
Mhm.
our physical dis-ease is a symptom of underlying emotional
I
issues.
I am
I
a
really
Yeah, I'm 100%. I 100% with you, because everything that you're saying right now, I concluded that in my journey that has gotten me to this point, like 100%, like, about stress. Yes, when you think about it, chronic, acute stress, just the regular everyday stress, it's good to kind of keep you going. That's how your body fights off an infection, right? But when you're talking about chronic stress, which I think many of us
trauma,
actually, all of us actually experience that right
trauma.
now. Yes, yes. It's inflammatory, and
Yeah.
it is a physiological effect that's going on when you're experiencing these things day to day, and that's so important. And while a lot of people hear that stress kills, but it really does. It
It's the
does
biggest
the
killer, in my
changes.
opinion. It's
Yes,
the biggest.
yes, yeah. I'm 100% with you. I think I don't think, and then it goes back to, we're not taught to, in a sense, really process our emotion, right? So it starts at a really young age, and I didn't realize that until I hit this ease, and then boom, I had to do my own inner work, and I realized, wow, like, we're not taught as kids that when we feel angry, it's like, oh, why are you angry? Go to your room, or blah blah blah. So we're not taught to say, okay, let's figure this out. We're not taught to, in a sense,
Sit with that.
process. Yes, yes. So, you know, I think a lot of the knowledge, it's new information, right? So it just goes to say that because you have this platform, it's a beautiful thing, because now you're putting out information for those out there who are not aware of this. Just like how you say that you didn't really buy into the whole mind body thing. Like you, I was kind of skeptical as well. I was kind of like, I don't know. But then when I started reading more and more, and reading the statistic and research, I realized, wait, it's more than just a story, another person healing story. This is real stuff. Sure, you're aware of the vagus nerve, right? How the mind body is connection is real because of this nerve, connecting from your brain, back of your brain, to your body, right? So it's real in that sense. And I think this is the type of information that should be put out there, and I'm glad that you're creating this platform to show others that there is a way. You shedding a light that there is a way to get better. And I think that in itself, it's so beautiful to showcase. Yeah,
Thank you. I
yeah.
think it's thanks to people like you as well that are willing to share your story and doing you're doing your thing as well. I think this is it's a movement. Like it
Yes.
really is happening. And it's just going more and more. And I was like, I want to be part of this movement. Like I'm jumping on
Yes.
this thing. Like this is something I
Right.
really believe in.
Yeah.
And I think that you mentioned mindset as well. And I love that that's what you work on with your clients, because I really do feel that to an extent, people are in such, they find it so hard to even accept this idea that they can be responsible or can control an aspect of it. Like it's so easy to just be the victim in a way. And I'm trying to use my words carefully, but I'm probably being very bad because I'm
No,
actually
it's
not
good.
personal. I think that, it's like, this is what I've been told. I've been raised or socially conditioned to believe in the authority and to trust what they
Yeah.
say. And they're
Yeah.
telling me there's nothing to be done. And so there's nothing to be done. So don't try and tell me otherwise, because that will just like shatter my like whole concept of, my life. And, if you tell me that it can be something to be done, like, what does that mean? That means the doctors, the people I've been trusting, the people that the authority figures, my environment, my, society is getting things wrong. Like that implication is really hard for people
Right.
to kind of process,
Yes. Yes.
And I think that the mindset shift of it takes time.
Yeah.
And because I'm trying to find a way. I'm talking to potential clients and to people, and they're saying, I'm struggling with this illness, I'm struggling with this disease, with this diagnosis, and I want to say, like, I really feel you can heal yourself, or at least reverse a little bit of it. Like I really believe that you can, but you have to believe it.
Right. Right.
It's like I remember I asked someone, I was like, how much money do you want? And they were like, $10 million. Dollars. And I was like, do you believe you can have $10 million? They're like, no. And I was like, so how are you going to do it if you don't believe that you can?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it
Yeah.
starts with belief. If I was saying this in a previous video as well, but I really do think that if you believe, first you need to get the mindset right and the perspective. And if you believe that you do have control over your body and your mind and the connection and how to, I think diet is, as you said, it's foundational. It's what we put in, it's like you put in petrol, the wrong fuel, the machine's not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely, Emily. Like what I usually, when I start off my conversation on our first session, I usually tell them, what do you know about your condition? It's just to kind of gauge where they are in their health journey. What are you aware of, in terms of what your doctors are telling you? So I tell them, I'm pretty much like a geek when it comes to researching. So I tell them, like, this is the most recent statistics that I found. And I tell them, listen, about 10% of chronic illnesses come from your DNA, your genetic, being predisposed to this disease, right? So I tell them, if it's 10% is due to your genetic, right? Because you hear a lot of people say, oh, I have this disease because it's my genetic. Well, then I tell them the other equation is about 90% is due to environmental factor. So I want you to take this in for one moment, okay? If 90% of chronic illnesses is due to environmental factors, what does that mean for you? And then they started like, oh, that's a lot. So that's only 10% that is my gene. I was like, and I tell them, this is a very empowering statistic, because that shows that you can take the ball back to your court, meaning take control.
9% of it is in your control.
It's your control, meaning, this is my opinion. I think this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but I'm gonna keep it real, right, Emily? Like, this is what I think. Sure. If 90% is in your control and you can take back that control, then chronic illnesses is lifestyle driven, right? So if it's lifestyle driven, you start to change how you think about it, what you eat, and what you do. And that's what I tell them up front. Like, listen, for our work, for your outcome to be achievable, to get better as your outcome, right? You have to understand this basic premise for us. If you don't believe that you're going to get better based on the statistic, that I'm not just pulling this from thin air, I'm giving you what's stated, what science or what researchers have come up with. And if you don't believe this, then it's not going to work. The work that I'm doing with you is not going to work, because it's a mindset thing. And this is how I kind of start off the mindset conversation and say, what are you eating? What have you changed your diet? If based on the statistic is environmental can mean many things. It could be what you're putting on your body. Like, your lotion, your makeup, to what you're exposed to daily, toxins, and to your thought. Just by thought alone, you can create stress, right? If just by thought alone you can create stress, that means it's your reaction to these stimuli, right? The environment, these experiences that you're going through. So I kind of give them that basis so they can understand where I'm coming from. So if they don't agree, then I say, then maybe the work that we're doing together is not going to work, because it's the foundation, your mindset, So this is how I kind of shoot off the session with. And if they feel like, let's do it, I think I can do this, and we work on it. So this is how I kind of introduce the mindset portion, so they understand where I'm coming from. And I'm not like lying or saying like, oh, she's not telling the truth, because it is mindset driven, so this is kind of like my golden nugget that I put on the table for them. If they take it, great. If they don't, then I don't think it's best that we work together then, because you have to believe it.
You can't help someone that doesn't
Right.
want to be helped, or that isn't ready for it, or that doesn't believe it. But
Yeah.
100%. I was gonna say something. Pregnancy brain. Hold on. Brain fart happening. I was gonna say something about the toxins and the pollution. And oh man, I lost my train of thought. You were saying stuff that was too good that
environmental. It could be many things. It could be
so many things
that you're exposed to. Like if you're breathing it, like we can't eliminate 100% of the toxicity, right? But we can minimize it by becoming more conscious of what we're buying, what we're eating, and what we're doing, right? So, and those are like really key elements to recovery, self-recovery. I mean, part of part of the reason why I've gotten better is because I've been a very conscious consumer. I make sure whatever information I take in, I take it as information, especially from doctors. I use discernment. I say, does this make sense? This doesn't make sense. Is it really true? Is it really true that I am going to be in pain? At one point, the doctor said that I needed a hip replacement. And I'm pretty young. My hip, long story short, I couldn't walk at one point. I was wobbling. I was limping. I was in pain. But now I'm like working out, running, and doing everything that the doctor said I couldn't do. So at that time when they told me that, I was like, wait, this is very impersonal, because you're telling me statistic of, I understand where you're coming from with your statistic. However, every individual is different, just like we are all different down to the DNA level. So when I started to use that as my premise now to think about any information I get, I realized that, wait, yes, it's very personal. Just like when they say that, when you were mentioning that, you're not supposed, you think you know everything, the doctors know everything. And my comeback to that, my rebuttal would be, I know my body more than anyone else. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. And then I keep it at that. And that's it. So this is how you take your power back. You realize that you played a role. And this sounds really harsh. And I'm only saying that because I did the same thing. You play a role in the development of this disease. And once you start to acknowledge that you played some sort of a role, because think about the statistic for a second, 90% is environmental. So that means it's lifestyle driven. So if you play a role in it to create it in a sense, you can uncreate it as well. By what? Changing what you're eating. And all other stuff.
It also helps to realize that we unconsciously create it. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, I want a disease. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Creating this with total lack of awareness. Like, we're not doing it intentionally. But I think Dr. Gabor Mate, I'm sure you've heard of him. Dr. Gabor Mate, I will send you the link. You will love him.
Okay.
And he explains how his research on cancer patients found that women that did not have a support network and that struggled with stress were 9 times more likely to get cancer.
Yeah.
And so he said that it was this emotional support and stress, like a lack of emotional support and stress led to 9 times more likely to develop cancer. That means cancer is directly impacted by your emotional.
Yes.
I think that this is becoming more and more known and talked about and discussed. And I think it's, instead of looking at it as, oh shit, I got myself into this mess, it should be empowering. It should be like, okay, I got into this unknowingly, unconsciously, because society is the way society is.
Right,
Now I
right.
can power back and I can sort it out. I mean, things that I've kind of discovered in my research is that like processed meats, like, you know, sausage and stuff like that,
Yeah,
it's carcinogenic.
yeah,
It's like cigarettes.
right.
And that was mind-blowing to me. We give our kids sausages. It's like
Yes.
we're feeding them like cigarettes. It's carcinogenic
It's so
food.
sad.
It's
Right,
like,
right. I agree with you.
why are
It's
they not labels on sausages? You know?
because it's not profiting, right? You know, it's like, you know, I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm going
Oh
down that
yeah.
road by saying, you know, there's no money
That's a
then, right?
whole other
It's a whole nother topic, right? But
yeah.
it is. You know, that's why I say you just have to be a conscious consumer. You know, you really, there's a lot of information out there, but at the same time, you got to use your judgment and just kind of sift through whatever makes sense. You know, you can't buy into everything. And that's what I've learned just in this journey itself, in the recovery. I've learned to uh, become my own advocate. You know, whatever I believe in, stand for it. You know, and make sure I speak about it, because this is the kind of information that's not put out there for the
Yeah.
masses, right? You have to actually do the research to realize.
I know.
So I think it's so important, you know, don't fall into every word you're hearing. And also be aware of the sources that you're going to as well, right? You know, depending where you're going to, the information that you're going to get may not be as inspiring or very hopeful, right? So I make sure I make it make it a balance between, like, you know, going to research from like mainstream, see what mainstream is saying, and then go a little bit more down the road of like something a little bit more not as mainstream, and just kind of take in both information and say, you know what, okay, there's still a 50% chance that I may get better. So let's work on getting better instead of, you know, staying sick. You know, that's how I see it.
And look, I
So
mean, again, I'm not going to totally knock on Western medicine and, you know, these kind of, it's taking everything with a pinch of salt, but
yeah.
just taking responsibility and doing your
Mhm.
own research and like kind of making decisions that
Right.
you feel comfortable with, that you're informed about, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm sure that there are some incredible doctors out there
I
that are doing awesome work, you know, like that's not what I'm not trying to like, you know,
yeah.
I just suddenly realized I might, you know, this might ruffle a few feathers, as
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said. I think that it needs to be a balance, you know, like
Hmm.
I'm 100%.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Well, we are out of time, but it has been a pleasure, and I'm very happy to have connected
Yes.
with you. And I've been following you for a while, and I'm sure that we will stay in touch.
Yes.
And thank you
Definitely.
for your time. I
Yes.
love what you
Thank
do.
you.
Send me all the links to all your things. I will put it in the description for everyone below.
Okay.
And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emily. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.